Hi, my name is Travis Bowling. This presentation is for bscom 485, week 3, and this is the incorporation of quarterly training with each quarter focusing on possible critical events such as ethical violations, technological malfunctions, how to respond to a client leaving the company, and major financial losses. So I've decided that the major financial losses would be considered management-only type of training, no lower-level employees, only upper end management. But some essential communication skills that must be implemented to overcome a critical event. First, we want to determine who is responsible for relaying the information to the employees and then to the clients. I do believe that upper management should relay technical malfunctions to the lower level employees, and then, of course, to tech support as well. Tech support should definitely create a detailed training, perhaps some training slides to the employees that they can access immediately and access 24/7. The training will also include and state that all employees, including the owner and upper management, shall practice in things like role-playing with other employees to teach them how to verbally communicate with clients who are set on leaving, and to work on convincing them to stay within the company. So I think that the best type of training that somebody can do with that particular instance is definitely a role play where one employee acts as the client or the customer, and the other employee certainly acts as the employee, and they just kind of wordplay back and forth to see what verbal cues that they can make and say that will potentially woo the client into staying. So ethical violations, a training program for that. Of course, ethical violations we want to fix right away. And the training should include that major ethical violations would definitely include an immediate termination for that particular employee, regardless of who they are, lower level, high level exec, anything like that. Major ethical violation, everybody should be made aware that that's immediate termination. So every once in a while, minor and accidental ethical violations do occur. So when that happens, we want to make sure that there's some degree of a write-up or written reprimand that's documented, and then training to follow. So I think with this particular company, one of the best things that can be done is the person who's involved directly with the violation should get with their immediate supervisor, whoever that manager may be, and collectively the two of them should put together a training package, some sort of slides, maybe in a PowerPoint presentation, and then I think that the manager should be the one who gives that training out. That way the employee doesn't feel like they're being targeted or treated any differently because of what they've done. But I do think that they should be involved with the training because they know exactly what happened, and now they know that they were wrong. So we want to make sure that they're involved with that training to some degree. Major financial losses would certainly be addressed by the higher level execs to the owner, and then the owner should be the one to display that information to the company and all of the employees. So I think that some training should be done on that. The owner obviously made aware that in the event of a major financial loss, he's going to be briefed by the high level execs, and then he would be instructed or engaging in giving the training to all the employees. That way they hear it right from the horse's mouth. So we want to make sure to do that. Activities or methods incorporated into training to reach goals and objectives. Role-playing different scenarios. That's really, I believe, down to my core, that's the best thing that almost any organization can do in terms of reaching goals and objectives. So, I think creating situations where somebody can be a manager for a day and prep lower-level employees to gain the proper skills in becoming senior management at some point in the future, should they stay with the company long enough. But I think a training program to kind of lay that out and say this is available to you if you want to take advantage of it, then you certainly can. So if not, they don't have to. I think for wanting to grow within the company, of course, everybody wants to grow, but some people may not want to stay there. So that should be an optional training. Organizational culture to determine communication obstacles. Overall, my take on Smith Systems Consulting is that they have a pretty good culture within the company, but there's always room for improvement in any company, and this one is no different. So communication obstacles could be improper use of the chain of command, improper instruction on how to use the chain of command, open door policies for all senior management, to the lower level employees for major issues or private issues. That's something that I think a training program should be very well versed in, because what happens is people don't use the chain of command properly, and they take a low level issue and bring it up to a high level exec, and it doesn't make any sense. So we need to make sure that there's training involved to let every employee know within their division or within their group who they need to go to, and if they can't go to that person for a private reason or a personal reason, then they need to know who to go to next. A lot of companies have an open door policy with all the higher level execs, but truth be told, it's not always the best method. Although it's usually welcomed in most companies, but it doesn't always work. So we need to do some training to make sure that everybody knows where to go. Identifying opportunities for improvement, needs and tasks. We need to be able to communicate effectively at all times. We're a technological-based type of company, so that's very important. So we want to create a headway for this to be effective, and that may include removing negative employees or employees who don't fall in line with the company culture or their personal workload. So each employee, including owner and upper management, need to be evaluated by their peers in the workplace, at least semi-annually. Quarterly is probably too much. But doing it semi-annually will give them a chance to improve, or unfortunately be terminated or demoted. So I think that's important to put into the training. That way, everybody knows that it's serious, and and people can make the changes that they need, and they do have some time to make those changes. Research methods to assess training needs and how to conduct the search to do it. So the training program is to address and make clear the company mission, objectives, and the company goals. Creating a mentorship program to help personal and professional growth is definitely part of the implementation plan that we'd want to put into this. Training sustainability and ensuring training is conducted properly and in a fun and engaging way. And so one of the important things with this training, with any type of training that's going on, somebody in the upper management or an executive level position, they definitely need to keep an eye on financial growth that happens before training is done, and they also need to keep an eye on it before training or after training is done. Excuse me. Because when after the training is done, if it's enlightening, if it's engaging, if it's positive, and they get a positive experience out of it, typically what happens is the employees are happier and work is done more efficiently, better, and everyone's excited to do it. So keeping track of that data can be really important. And beneficial to longer-term company goals and even shorter-term company goals. As far as delegating internal and external training facilitator and justification on why, I think that most qualified and respected employees should be the ones to conduct the training. Ones that are already within the company who almost the fatherly or motherly figure, the person that most people look up to, and maybe that's the owner. Maybe the owner needs to conduct the training and be more involved with the employees, or maybe it's somebody who's a lower level employee who's retired, and this is what they do now to help eat up some time. But everybody appreciates that person and they respect that person, and I think that that's what it's going to take to get the training done in a way where people are going to listen to it. We don't want any hotheads in there or people cramming things down anybody's throat. So finding the right person within the organization or organizations, wherever they may be, in-state, out-of-state, and across the United States, we want to find the right person to do the training. If we can't find somebody who's the right person or somebody that's not taken seriously or given the respect that they need and deserve, it's going to be non-effective, and in that case, we'd want to hire, we consider hiring an outside source. As far as assessing the training effectiveness by measuring trainees' knowledge and retention, I would assess the effectiveness by measuring the trainees' overall knowledge. Maybe some degree of testing afterwards. That's a little different than the average. There's some companies, in particular, for example, in the car business, many of the sales staff are required to be certified in that particular dealership's new car model. So if it's Kia, they're expected to be Kia certified. Chevy, they're Chevy certified. We want to do something similar to that, but the problem with that is that sometimes the test becomes too difficult, and what you have is the employees who are cheating, or they're writing down the answers and then giving it to the other sales staff so that they can maintain their certification. And we don't want to do that. So I think the test afterwards should be more not so much a right or wrong answer, but what would you do? how would you react, how would you respond? So almost a what-if type of situation. Recording phone conversations. That's also important because we can take that employee and what they've done and go back and listen to the conversation, see where they went wrong, or see exactly what they did right, and make adjustments as needed, or give praise where needed. So looking over emails and other forms of communication, again, Smith System Consulting is a technological-based company, so there's a lot of communication via email and certainly via phone. So the more we can highlight those areas and figure out what we're doing right, we can also improve on what we're doing wrong. And then praise, especially important with that. Let's give praise when it's due, and even when it's not due sometimes, because the return on investment with giving praise to an employee who's really trying hard, maybe they're not quite cutting the cake, but they're close, and all they need is that little bit of a push. We want to make sure that we give that as well. As far as the short and long-term outcome of the training programs, short-term, of course, we want to increase morale and employee happiness within the workplace. I think that's goal number one. If we do that and we do it right and we do it effectively, then what we're going to see is a nice return on investment financially. So, of course, our long-term goal would be to increase revenue and desirability to be employed at Smith Systems Consulting. But the short term, we really want to focus on company morale and and employee happiness. I think that's the number one thing that we need to work on. If we take care of the employees, then in turn they are going to take care of us by taking care of the customers. So, if we get that right, we can make this work for a very, very long period of time. And we can bring up the lower level employees who want to stay with the company for 15, 20, 30 years and allow them to grow within the company and eventually be a high level exec or or CEO or COO or whatever it may become, or even buy the company. Who knows? So anyway, that is my presentation. So that's how I think that I would do this training program. I think it needs to be very much so employee based. And giving them options, allowing them to do the role playing. I think that is very, very important. And I think that if we can do it right, the sustainability of the company will certainly be there, and we can be around for a long time to come. So that is the end of my presentation. I will upload this video in one way or another and get it over to Professor Gilpin. Today is July 30th. It's approximately 7:41 Pacific Standard Time, and my name is Travis Bowling. Thank you.